The first few weeks of college were crazy. They were really awesome. There was a lot of different people from a lot of different places that really had nothing in common. The only thing that we had in common was that we all now went to Chapman. So there was supposed to be some cohesive type of culture, but in reality, it was just I went to this high school, I came from this town, I do this, that, or the other thing. Activities started to bind people, or interests, or academics. People started to really quickly find kind of a group. And this kind of interests me because we're all individuals, yet at the same time, as humans, we all want to be part of something. And Michael W. Taft, this biologist that I'm pretty interested in, said that our biological wiring for group cohesion is so strong we'll do almost anything to fit in and feel anxiety when we don't belong. And this really rang true with me as a college freshman. There are plenty of kids that don't feel that they fit in at their university, don't find the social group, and quickly transfer out. Or they just don't really know how to become a part of a social group. It's really hard because you have your own personality and your own background and subculture that should absolutely remain you as an individual, but at the same time, you have to find your way into this new subculture. Matt Ridley put a really interesting perspective on this. He's like a human economic guy, and he said that the discovery of how genes actually influence human behavior is about to recast the debate, referring to nurture versus nature entirely. No longer is it nature versus nurture, but it's nature via nurture. Genes are designed to take their cues from nature. So your social group and the people you're around with actually changes the way that the genetics in your body react. The genes that you're made of actually, it's shown due to stress and a couple other factors, react to the way that you're living and the people that you're around and can actually change you as a person. So at first I was thinking, well, what are the kind of different subcultures? And at first there's your family. It's not your choice. You're born into a family, and then it's where you live because it's the people that are always around you or the certain culture of a group. And then it's your interests. And all these things popped up pretty quickly at the freshman year of Chapman. And it makes sense because we learn from who we're around and we teach who we're around, and therefore these groups become stronger and stronger and have the same information again and again. So it makes a lot of sense that there's cohesion in these groups that you don't really have control over, such as family, for instance. There's actually a science for this called the Bennett scale. This is a 6-step process that's integration of a difference and integration into culture. So the first step in the Bennett scale is the denial of difference. You see yourself as an individual and you deny that there's a way that you could become a part of something like a certain subculture just because you're so much an individual. Then there's defense against difference. When you truly defend, when you're becoming integrated in this culture, you truly defend your background and you want to definitely stay a part of that. And then there's minimization of difference, where you slowly realize, okay, I can let this part go. This thing that I hold true, maybe that's not as true, and this thing that this new subculture is telling me makes sense to me, which leads to acceptance of difference, the fourth step. And then the fifth step is the adaptation to difference. So you're actually starting to use this in your life, which leads to the full sixth step, which is the integration of difference. So the first few interactions in any new group, it's awkward. It really is. You have nothing to talk about other than your background, and they have the same. There's nothing that you can talk about as a group that makes it so you have something in common immediately. So McKenna and Miser, one of the articles I read, said there are two main things you have to do to have an individual become part of your subculture. You have to invest in them as individuals, and two, you have to steep newcomers in the personality and culture of their new group. I think the best way to integrate into a culture is kind of like the way my dad taught me how to swim. He didn't slowly take me in down the steps, see how I was feeling, pull me out, put me back. Nope. Quick throw in the middle of the pool, splash around, don't know what I'm doing, and then eventually you just learn by yourself. Now, obviously, the first time I was thrown into a pool, I didn't swim. My dad had to help me, but he knew that. So when you're integrating a new person into a culture, you know that they're going to have some difficulty immediately. And one of the things that comes up often is hazing in new cultures. According to Oliver, one of the articles I read, more than half of all U.S. college students in clubs, teams, and other organizations are hazed. This seems to be something that's ingrained in our culture almost. In Chapman's Conduct Code, it says that you cannot do any physically demanding activity and that depriving individuals of the opportunity for sufficient sleep is considered hazing. Yet, in America's Army, the United States' Army, they do both these activities a lot. They physically demand a lot out of their new Army recruits and deprive them of sleep in a lot of opportunities. This creates kind of a cultural acceptance. Like, if the government's doing it, why can't we? There's a lot of things that are great for bonding individuals, and hazing certainly isn't one of them. I had trips with the lacrosse team that I'm a part of, and the way they integrate culture is perfect. Everyone's together on the same team, on the same bus, working together for the same goal of winning. In practice, everyone's working together all the time to do the same thing. It's diving headfirst into the culture, absolutely hanging out with these guys all the time, seeing the way that they do certain things both on and off the field creates a culture in the team. I go to the library and I see the captain and 3 guys of his friends sitting down and studying, makes me as a freshman want to study. The best way to absolutely integrate yourself into any culture or to learn or to do almost any activity in this world is to dive in head first. There's no room for indecision, and there's no room to wonder if you should or shouldn't be a part of this culture. You'll know once you're in the culture. Absolutely integrating yourself is a great way, and in college so far, it's helped me a lot.